Hi again, one nothingers. It is so good to see you. Well, hear you or talk to you, I guess. It's so good to record myself speaking for you guys to listen to later. Oh my God. In all seriousness, it is great to be back. I don't know about you guys, but I have been so excited for episode 7. If you haven't caught on yet, we have a theme and we kind of rotate through different death categories, if you will. But the animal attack ones are just going to be my personal favorite. I'm sorry. It's just going to be how it is for me. I always find those the most interesting. But I've been teasing you guys for weeks with TikTok videos and Instagram reels and the sounds of big cats growling. It's been nice for me. Probably not for you because, you don't know the story, but I do. And maybe I'll just sit on it for a little while longer. And, maybe just instead of an episode with like a gory death, I'll just fill an hour with like random sounds and weird words. Trombone. Naive. Crunch. Oh yeah, we could do this for an hour. Settle in, gang, as I take you on a virtual walk of what eating pie would sound like if we typed it into letters. I'm just kidding, guys. We're going to talk about the gruesome death, of course. I got you guys. Well, probably not anymore because anyone who believed me probably clicked out of this episode so fast their phone caught on fire. But it's fine. We'll get to the animal attack, okay? We got some stuff to do first, so bear with me. I'm going to premise this with saying I'm recording in the morning, which is unusual for me. I usually record at night. So the potential for abstract sounds is much higher. My dog's whining in another room. Another dog's walking around with her tippy toes, tapping on the floor. I have a cat meowing at me constantly. So just bear with me. We'll get through it. Also, I'm in the famous squeaky chair. So I'm going to try really hard to be still. But it's hard for me. I don't know. Like I have a really hard time sitting still, you guys. I cannot. Like I'll get comfortable and 30 seconds later I'll be like, ugh, my legs are stiff. I need to move. So I'm sorry if that comes through, but we're going to try. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to stay conscious of every movement. Okay. And now I have the hiccups. What a wonderful day. It is a wonderful day so far. It's only like noon, but okay. We are rounding the corner to episode 10, guys, in no time. We're just like a few episodes away, and you know that we got to go big. So I am already planning well in advance some really cool stuff that we're going to do for episode 10. But there's a potential that we may want to bring on a couple guest stars for that episode. I would really like to have some of our longtime listeners, maybe, if they were interested in sitting in for a story and doing it that way. That might be fun. And then we have some more variety other than just me. And then sometimes I have Rachel. She's out of town for this episode. She lives a busy life, but I have good things in the works and I just would like to get some more voices on here. I don't want it to always just be me. I hate the sound of my own voice. I imagine you guys probably hate it too, but it's worth it because of the stories. I know I don't take it to heart, but just know there's good things in the works. Oh, where do I start? I feel like I always say the same thing every time, but I love you guys so much. I just can't help but gush about you. And just so you know, I do write like little things that I want to talk about down, and I definitely put the word constipated in parentheses before that, so I knew exactly how I wanted to inflect my love for you. So that's my constipated voice, just so that you're, one closer glimpse into my dialect and my vocabulary. Our Instagram follower count more than doubled since episode 6. I am like out of words. I don't know. We have a lot of new people checking us out, and I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so thankful. And I do want to take a second, like we do with all of our podcasts, and just give all of the great folks my little 5 seconds of podcast fandom, JK. So listen up, because some of you guys have really stood out to me, and I want to take a second to thank you. So to start us off, I want to extend a very sincere thank you to Eddie. Eddie reached out to me by email, and it was so touching. I was tearing up a little bit reading it. He had some of the most amazing things to say, and I just felt on top of the world after reading that. It was so sweet. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, I did post part of the most meaningful section on our Instagram. So go over there and check it out. It really was so heartfelt. He talked a lot about the details that I provide, and that's something I pride myself on in this podcast, is being able to really dig deep and find all the details that I can about a case. So thank you, Eddie, for spending a couple of your precious minutes of life on me and on Rachel. It was really awesome. I encourage everyone who wants to reach out, because I really do care, and it gives me a high that the dankest bud cannot provide. Like, it's just, I feel like on top of the world. Like, I love it when there's people who enjoy what I'm putting out there. And I appreciate you guys for listening. And I like to pay it forward. So I also have some kind words for a few of my favorite and fellow podcasts. So we're going to get into that. The Suspended Sentence podcast. Oh my gosh. They are a badass podcast run by Tracy and Samantha. So another woman-owned pod. Not only have they been amazing and so sweet through Instagram messages to us, but they actually gave us a shout out on one of their most recent episodes. So awesome, so cute. I had to return the favor. You girls are killing it. And I love the feminine energy, just boss bitch status. I love it. Everyone should go check them out. If you like us, you'll like them. They bring true crime to like new heights. I just love them. So go check them out. That was the Suspended Sentence podcast. And then BDBO, our little pals, they get a shout out for pretty much every episode, but I just owe them so much of like our social media following to them. I didn't know when I first started how to gain exposure or traction or anything. And in this like digital age that we live in, you need a follower account on social media to draw any kind of audience. Like if we didn't have a social media, we'd have like 2 listeners still probably. But I reached out to them at the beginning because I was like, I'm just not getting it. Like, what are you guys doing that you have this great audience? Like, do you have any tips? And they were so awesome. They gave me all this free advice, and it was just a game changer for our social media presence. And they've genuinely been so great. They're always reacting to our podcast. They're commenting on stuff, engaging, just truly some good people with dope ass energy. And I wholeheartedly love that they're just killing the podcast game entirely. Go check them out. In particular, their shroom talks and their drunk talks are hysterical. If you're like me and you think that kind of stuff's funny, it's hysterical. Go check them out. That's BDBO, Bring the Boots Out podcast. Next, I have Fihad Jordar. I got a shout out to you too, my dude. Even though I'm pretty sure you run some kind of scam where people pay you for followers. I don't know. You interact with our content constantly. And honestly, you seem like a straight up good dude. And I'm appreciative for you. Sorry if I judged your business wrong. I could be wrong. I just get a lot of messages from promoters. And I'm using that term very loosely. I can't tell the real ones from the fake ones. So, you know, just thank you for the love still. I know I'm probably going to get dragged for that one, but I give thanks where they're due. Okay. You've been cool. I'm sorry if you do scam people. That's a shitty thing to do, but you've been nice to me. I can't hate on you for being nice to me. So thanks. Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy. They are great. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on. Their podcast is so cute. It's made up of a mother and a son, and each episode they like make a new cocktail or mixed drink, and they'll try it and tell you, you know, if it's good and how to make it. And then they go through and talk about true crimes and murders, and it's just always a good time. I've heard a few of their episodes now, and I absolutely love. There's like some that I'm like, oh my God, I want to do an episode on that. But I don't want to steal content, so I try to find stuff that hasn't been discussed yet. But yeah, they're really awesome. Go check them out. Brutal _ Bizarre _ and Boozy. Hilarious. And before we wrap up this little thanks part, sorry, somebody with very loud vehicle sounds is driving around nearby. I thought it was my dog growling, and I was about to be like, not the time. Anyway, before we wrap this up, now about that. That's the podcast name. That wasn't just me talking. It's a podcast. James and Sarah run it. It's a really good podcast. And if you're like drive around a lot or you're running errands, it's so entertaining. And it's like, they're funny without even trying. Honestly, it's the best part. They just talk about things that we all experience, like silly inconveniences, mishaps at the doctor, and like professors that are extra critical without good reason. Like, it's just funny stuff that we all kind of endure. And they just put a funny twist on it and talk about their experiences with it. They have a really great show. I implore everyone to go check them out. I think they're on Apple Podcasts, but all like the rest of the podcasts that I spoke of, they're damn near on every platform. So you just search them and you'll find them. If you can't, search them on Instagram. They all have links to their podcasts on Instagram. Real quick, Down the Rabbit Hole, We're the Weird Ones, The Conversation Cabin, Miss Spooky Obsessed, Haunts Podcast, Thank you guys for always engaging. Thank you guys for always liking our stuff, commenting, boosting our shitty algorithm. We love you truly, and we try to return the favor to you guys and show you as much love and post our thanks to you and get your name out there too. Not that it's not already, but we do our part to reciprocate. That's what I'm meaning. I'm going to make noise now because, see, I'm uncomfortable, so I have to move around. See? Maybe one day we can offer subscriptions, and then I can afford a chair that doesn't make noise every time I adjust a single fat cell of my body. Or a muscle cell. It doesn't have to be a fat cell. I don't know. That's just where my mind went. All right. There's a million people I could go on and on about. For the sake of time and the need for like food and water, I'm going to end it there. I do want to hop on the Instagram page real quick and go over some of our most recent followers. Let me open that up real quick because I like doing it in live, like real time. Let's see. Where's my notification? Okay. Going down the list of people starting the most recently. CA Death Star, Metalhead Journeys, Shipwrecks Pod, a shit 3034. I certainly hope that that's how you want that pronounced. We Are the History 1. Genta Nueva 248. Mark Gonzalez 53Y. True Prince 77. The Nosy Hens Podcast. I'm going to mess this one up. Kodalaji Ambrish. Oh, wow. I didn't actually do too bad, I feel like. Anne Helene. Nope, not good. No. Cat Tracks 26. Creepy Confidential. CA Death Star. You follow me just to unfollow me to follow me again? Why? So that you could be named on the episode? Oof, you're a smart cookie. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you joining our little 1-0 team. I really hope that I can entertain and provide enough content to keep you guys engaged and keep you as fans or listeners, whatever you want to call yourselves. I super appreciate it. So thank you. I also want to do something because I know that we have a few people on TikTok that aren't on our Instagram, and I think it's not fair to exclude, like, it's a tiny following on TikTok of like 40 people, but I don't want to exclude anybody, so I'm just going to pick someone at random, and we're just going to, let's see, I don't know if it goes by who followed you when. Oh, I guess it does, maybe. I guess so. Okay, we'll just do the most recent person who followed us. Johnny Pring. Johnny Pring, I can't talk much about you. You have no videos, my dude. You have 600. How the fuck you got 600 followers on TikTok without posting a single video? Make it make sense. Did it be harder? You don't even like any videos. They're private. Bro, tell me your way. I mean, you have a cool like a cool photo, I guess, of you in a wildfire. I hope you didn't start the wildfire. Anyway, thanks for following us. Tell me your secret, because, like, I'm posting shit. I got 42 people following me. So if you want to tell me your ways of how you managed to get 600 folks following you when you produce no content, I'm all ears. Congrats, though. I'm really happy for you that you have that following. That's awesome. That's more than I have on Instagram. So thank you again for following us. I'm not picking on you, I promise. Just think it's funny. Oh my God, scam callers. They need to have alone. Does anybody else get 100 scam calls a day? I feel like it's just me. All right. I feel like we're already off the rails here. How much time have I taken up of your guys' day already? Oh, just 13 minutes. Okay, that's not bad. We're only 13 minutes into this. We've got plenty of time. These are like an hour. It's fine. We'll get there. We're going to move on to our question of the week from last week. If you missed it, episode 6 was fucked up, honestly. It was harrowing and disturbing, and it was the tale of a 6-year-old boy who, through a variety of traumatizing scenarios, ended up with his biological father and his girlfriend, where he was pretty much systematically neglected and abused for a full year before he was murdered by the father's girlfriend. So really messed up story. I know it was really, really dark. I'm sorry. It really sucked to do that research, and all the audio recordings that I heard that I didn't even play haunted me for a good while. It's still awful. But his name's out there at least now in another venue, and more people can hear about him and learn about his story, and he doesn't get, forgotten about in a few decades, hopefully. So our question of the week from that, however, was, if you were a judge and were responsible for sentencing criminals, how would you determine their sentence? And we got a few responses on this. I'd really love to start getting like dozens so I can go through and pick the best one. Not the best ones, but like more enthusiastic responses than some of them. But I'm going to read the ones that answered it well. So I had Hot Garbage Show commented on our post on Instagram for that. And they said, I would look at the facts and the circumstances. Are you a person who is going to reoffend and needs to be locked up for life? Can this person be rehabilitated? I would go deep as hell into their backgrounds and what kind of person they may or may not become, which I thought was an excellent answer. That is a good, definitely these judges need to do a lot more research into their backgrounds and not only take into account criminal history, but mental health history, like go back and see like what kind of kid was this in high school? Was he beating people up and murdering animals? Stuff like that. Do more research on the person. I agree. French Flacco _TV commented, based on the crime, passion, intent, and context, if someone killed a person that they didn't know and it was a mistake, such as vehicular manslaughter, but they were negligent, then they would be put in prison for maybe 5 to 8 years. And I do agree that it's important to take intent and context into the situation. There's obviously like, oh gosh, what was it? There was a guy recently in the news who's driving a semi truck somewhere. I think it was in England. They call them lorries maybe, but for whatever reason, his brakes failed on his truck and he crashed his truck and I think killed a person, potentially a family. I'm not sure. And they tried to put him away for like a lifetime. Like, come on, his brakes went out on his truck. Like, not everybody's prepared for those kind of situations. So context and intent definitely does play a role. I agree. So thank you guys for those. Those were 2 really, really great answers. I would love to get more. There was a few answers of people just like, yes, or something like that. That's great. But I can't elaborate on that. So give me some context so we can really make it a discussion if you could. So that way it's just more interesting for me and for our listeners. And then for you to actually have your opinion put out there, not just the word yeah. Like YAH. Like, okay. Yeah. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Real quick, I want to plug our TikTok and our Instagram. There are some benefits to following on our Instagram and our TikTok. We will post hints about the upcoming episodes. We will post recaps on the episodes that we release so that if you guys aren't sure if you want to listen in, you can kind of watch the recap and be like, oh, that sounds like something I'd like to hear more about. It's just our way of helping people who have triggers of avoiding sensitive subjects, because I do sympathize with people who have endured the stuff in their actual life and then have to potentially listen about it without knowing, the context. So I do provide those for you. You don't have to listen right away. Check out our Instagram like a day or 2 following the episode and watch the TikTok or watch the video reel and see if it's something that you feel like you are able to handle. So go check it out. We also really are engaging on our Instagram. I'm trying to engage more on TikTok, but we just have a smaller following there. So I've really been pouring a lot of effort into TikTok. I love to respond to messages. I love to post, our thanks. If someone goes crazy, hearting a bunch of posts, I put your name out there and tell everyone like, this person's so awesome. Thank you for the love. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. So check us out. We're at like the little A with the circle around it for you boomers at One Nothing Podcast. No hate on the boomers, by the way. I'm just saying. Some of you struggle with tech. It's okay. I struggle with what's something that people are really good at that? Like woodworking and blacksmith. Well, that's probably too far. We're not Middle Earth. Anyway, I respect you. I'm just saying. The at with the circle, that's the at sign. The A with the circle. At One Nothing Podcast. All one word, no hyphens, no underscores. That's it. Find us. TikTok, Instagram, follow us, show us love. We love engaging. That was really dramatic, but I do feel like I have a tickle in my throat. Sorry, that probably blew out your ears. I don't know if you're driving in the car right now and you heard that and like you're at a stoplight and there's people beside you judging you. You're welcome. Now those people will think about you for the rest of the day. See? Get into their mind. Okay, let's do the content warning. I feel like I goofed off enough. Hold on. I have a fuzz on my mic. Get off. Okay, we're good. One more squeaky chair. Well, maybe not one more. There'll probably be a couple more, but I'm going to announce them at least so they're not like, ooh, who's getting it on a squeaky bed in the background of Amanda's episode? All right, this content warning. Did I? Yeah. I did. Okay. I just want to make sure I went over talking about everybody I wanted to talk about, and I did. So now you guys are all warm and fuzzy and, having heard all these wonderful things about these amazing people, and you're probably feeling so good right now. Well, stop it. That's gross. We're going to fix that right now. And it's time for the story. And they say this show doesn't have humor. The content discussed in this episode contains distressing detail of an animal attack resulting in a death. There will likely be some foul language because our host is incapable of utilizing her vocabulary without it. Listener discretion is advised. Children should not be listening to this. If you're in the kitchen overhearing this message from another room, here's your opportunity to remove this device from your child's hands and probably delete your browsing history. Okay, let's get into it. The era is spring of 1963. I'm going to bring you back to a time where the United States was teetering on the brink of a huge transformation. The prison of Alcatraz has just announced that it's closed its doors. Lee Harvey Oswald has just completed a purchase for a rifle by way of a mail-in order. The Pan Am building, which is now known as the MetLife, opens in New York. The country is unknowingly well on their way to losing their president to assassination in just a mere couple months. So it's a time of change and patriotic perseverance. And on the 24th of March, it was also a day of joy and gratitude as Michael and Carolyn Bober welcomed their second child into the world. With 10 perfect fingers and 10 perfect toes, the beaming baby girl took her first breath, and her parents bestowed a beautiful name upon her, Diana Bober. Diana had a sister, Allison, who was just a year older than her. And the few years before her birth even, Michael and Carolyn led very different lives in the vastly different geographies of Iran. They met while working for the United States government, and they fell in love, and before long, they had started a thriving and a lovely family. About a year after Diana was born, the couple and their 2 children took to relocating pretty frequently, and they seemingly followed the military lifestyles of their parents. In 1964, the parents and their children went to Vienna, Virginia, then they moved to Greece, and then back to Virginia. Then they hitched a ride southwest to San Antonio before they finally settled down in Corpus Christi, Texas. By this time, Diana and her sister were teenagers becoming young women, and Diana in particular found her passions in the outdoors. She frequented the canals of Laguna Madre by sunfish sailing, which, sidebar, I looked that up, and holy shit, the skills you have to possess to be good at that as a hobby. She also became a regular hiker, and she frequented the small trails around her community. After graduating high school, Diana found her place at Trinity University in San Antonio, where she studied theater for a time. I feel like I have something in my throat. I'm sorry. Sadly, after a little while, Diana felt that university was not what was best for her lifestyle, and she voluntarily discontinued school and moved to Dallas, and then shortly thereafter relocated to New York City to pursue another dream of hers, acting. Come 1991, Diana was a happy and thriving 28-year-old woman. Following suit to a lifetime of frequent relocations, she moved to Los Angeles. Her sister Allison and Allison's husband resided in Los Angeles, so that was one big motivator. But she also wanted to broaden her opportunities for those movie and television acting roles that she was applying to, and she felt where better than LA. The California city would also be where Diana totally topples head over heels in love with hiking and nature. She had always loved nature, but she had drifted away a little bit in her young adult years because she was pursuing many other passions. But she found her way back to this one true love of hers, and this was outside exploring Southern California and its coastal canyon trails where she really enveloped a passion for the outdoors. In 2007, Diana found a new career opportunity working for a catering firm, and she moved her life into Las Vegas in Nevada. She spent her free time navigating the desert trails of Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, but she really missed the ocean and the unique trails that California kept. She did keep herself distracted for a while, and then she rediscovered another old passion of hers, tarot readings. She was the perfect person to become involved in such a thing. Her friends would say that too. She was intuitive, full of wisdom, and she didn't twist words or beat around the bush. And if you needed someone to tell you to get up and do something, Diana was that person. Diana began her experience in tarot readings and also astrology when she was in high school. And even then, just starting at it, she excelled in it. After finding her love for it again as an adult, she soon built a small livelihood on providing tarot readings to her clients in her home or in spiritual gatherings, and even sometimes by telephone. I'm hearing weird noises. Wait till the end of this episode, guys. I have such a freaking bomb to drop on you. It's crazy. I should have said that at first. There's a secret at the end. Stay tuned. Anyway, after Diana began her experience with tarot readings and astrology and finding out how good she was at it, she started it up again as a young adult, and soon she built that small livelihood on it. And she was just doing really good at it. She was offering, going to these spiritual gatherings and giving readings to groups. She was doing it, like I said, over the phone, in person, but she was really good. And eventually, even though she had built a lifestyle off of her spiritual talents, she was just no longer satisfied by the nature that the desert offered, and she found herself really having some wanderlust for those trails back in California. So she decides she's no longer satiated by the trails and the desert experience, so she's going to move to Gresham. Gresham? I should have looked up how to pronounce that. It's in Oregon. And that was after 8 years of enduring the dry heat and, frankly, the boring trails. Can't say I agree. I haven't been out there, but who knows? The ocean is like a great place, so I get it. Gresham is just on the edge of Portland, so it hosts a ton of niche environments for nature lovers. There's so many trails and mountains and overlooks, one could get lost in all of the adventure destinations there. Two of her favorite areas to traverse were Mount Hood National Forest and an area aptly named the Gorge. Friends and family of Diana grew to expect gorgeous panoramic photos of the beautiful places Diana would frequent, and her pictures made you feel like you were seeing them in person. She also frequently sent videos as well, which detailed her hiking journeys, and she truly had a knack for calendar-worthy locations. Diana was a very selfless person. Her family and her friends described her as respectful, empathetic, and caring, and she even dedicated a lot of her adult life to rescuing and adopting cats and kittens. She was an animal lover as much as she loved people and nature, and she had this uncanny habit of being excellent at everything that she did. She would touch a paintbrush or a pencil to a canvas and walk away with a masterpiece. With a flick of a computer mouse, she excelled at digital graphics and online art. And she even wrote some fantasy novels, although she was turned away by publishers for not writing about the trendy, unintelligible babble that they thought would sell. But she was great at everything that she did. She was also on the autism spectrum, to some degree, according to her family, and I'm sure that only aided in her profound talents. She also was a terrific aunt. What's the right way to say that? Her sister's children. The person that she was to them. She was great at it. Her sister Allison had married and had children. She chose a different life path, and Diana was on her own. And Diana never really wanted children of her own, but she was ecstatic about being an aunt. And she was definitely the cool aunt. And due to moving around so much, she had friends across the country wherever she went. And in 2018, she dedicated a ton of her time to enjoying the outdoors in her Oregon home. On August 18th of Pause for me to get my shit together. On August 18th, 2018, Diana posts a photo of mountains to her Instagram page. On August 25th, she posts another image with the hashtags out in Oregon and hike Oregon. I feel like I'm saying Oregon many different ways. I don't know the right way. I'm so bad at pronunciation. On August 29th, she reached out to a family just for a typical check-in, catching up, seeing what was going on, probably sent her a beautiful photo of a hike she took. Everything going good. On August 30th, Diane wakes up in the morning. She's gearing up for another hike, and she's like, I'm going to go check out this Hunchback Trail, which is absolutely gorgeous. It runs right through the Mount Hood National Forest that she'd canvassed multiple times before. It's a beautiful day. She gets her hiking backpack on, which was all black with this green elastic paracord on the front. And she was going at a pretty steady pace, just eager for the views that the next few feet held ahead, which all of us hikers can relate to that feeling of just, oh, something right up ahead. So exciting. Just like a real feeling of exploration. And she was reveling in this wonderful feeling of being just all alone out in nature. Like she couldn't see another person. It was just peaceful, the wind and the trees and her. It was very, very idyllic, which probably made her a little off guard even more when a large tan animal launched itself from the shadows and latches its razor-sharp claws and teeth onto her body. Diana's small 5'4" frame is totally enveloped by the creature, and she feels searing pain as the animal's sharp canine teeth sink into her neck. She can feel the hot breath being panted heavily into her ears, and she hears almost a trill in the sound, which sounds so much like the cats and kittens that she had adopted over the years. But this was much louder, much more powerful, and she quickly realized she was fighting for her life with none other than a mountain lion. Also known as a cougar, and they go by many other names, Diana embarks on this hellish battle with the cat. She fights and musters all of her might to defend herself against the massive cat, but biology is choosing a side, and it's not choosing Diana's, unfortunately. The cougar bites down again and again on Diana's neck, attempting to perfect its favorite prey-neutralizing tactics. And she's wounded, but she's not giving up by any means. She's digging through her mental inventory of what she has on her, and she remembers she has mace. So she grabs it, and she's trying to ward off the animal with a few good bursts, but it does no good, and the cougar continues to savagely maul her. She then finds a sharp object somewhere in the chaos, and she starts swinging it around wildly, desperately trying to fight off the cat. And she just is no good. In the process of this fight, however, Diana's being basically dragged down the steep embankment off the side of the trail, and she's not even close to the trail. Nobody's even close to within hearing distance of her right now. Her backpack has been pulled off of her, and it's lying somewhere dozens of feet above her on the steep hillside. Her hands find a stick as she's being dragged down the hill, and she grabs it and starts whacking the cat again, but it has little effect. The cougar is just slashing at her with his sharp, long nails and just slashing at her hands as she attempts to defend herself. She's growing tired of this fight with Diana, so in a final effort, she adjusts her jaw one more time, finding the absolute right place to apply pressure to Diana. And without another sound or struggle, the mountain lion breaks Diana's neck and takes off, leaving her dead at the bottom of a 200-foot embankment that she'd been dragged down. For reasons that I can't find answers to, this cat does not begin to consume Diana. The sky, however, does slowly change from day to night. Poor Diana is never noticed. The next day, August 30th, a woman and her daughter are out hiking the Mount Hood Trail, and they come across a black backpack. It's a little rugged looking, a little dirty looking, but it looks fairly new and intact, and it's got this green elastic paracord on the front. They don't really think anything of it. They just figure someone lost it. So they take it back to the ranger station, which is called the Zigzag Ranger Station. It's about a mile from where they found it on the trail. And they just leave it at the lost and found, hoping that somebody will come back for it. More than a week later, sometime around Friday, September 7th, some out-of-state relatives of Diana reach out to family members and have you heard from her? I guess she had a family call of some kind that she never missed, and she had missed it. That was very uncharacteristic for Diana. And the more they thought about it, they realized they really hadn't received any texts or calls from her at all since August 29th. So the family checks off no, we haven't heard from her. So her relatives call the police, and they're like, something isn't right. She doesn't just fall off the map like this. Someone needs to go check things out. So, of course, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, they're on the case. They don't know where to start, though, so they start to go to her home. She's not there. They're trying to draw evidence of where she could be, and so they start interviewing family members and collecting information, and someone drops the hint that, Diana loves to hike, and she's out at the gorge and at Mount Hood National Park pretty often. Maybe check there. At this point, it's been, like I said, over a week, and Diana took that fateful hike, but nobody knows that. And her body's still at the bottom of that huge embankment, and she's not exactly within sight of the trail at this point. And the sheriff's office does make a breakthrough the day that she's reported missing, because they go to the park that her family reports that she frequents on Saturday, September 8th, sometime in the afternoon, and they find Diana's adorable black Mazda Miata parked right where she left it at the Zigzag Ranger Station. It only takes police another 2 days of searching before they find her body, and only about a mile or two from where her car was parked. And immediately officials see her and they're like, what the hell? What happened? So they began testing to determine the cause of death because what they were thinking was like, it was so horrifying, nobody wanted to believe it. She was so mangled. Diana's poor body was badly and brutally beaten, almost beyond recognition. She had suffered more than a dozen puncture wounds to her neck alone. Her hands and arms were covered in punctures and slashes, as well as most of the rest of her body, and her neck was broken. Brian Wolfer, who is the watershed manager of the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, he released a statement that this does have every indication that this is the first fatal attack of a human by a cougar in the history of Oregon, which is a big deal because, that led him into looking at other animals at first, like could this have been a bear? Because there was just no fatalities from cougars reported in Oregon before, and it's not the kind of record that you want to be breaking, but it led them to really want to consider other things first. Cougar wasn't even on the radar right away. Somewhere around September 12th, after just a couple days of examining Diana's wounds and cause of death, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife is pretty sure at this point that it's a big cat, just based on the wounds, based on the method of which her neck was bitten several times, and we'll talk about that. They're pretty conclusive a big cat of some kind did this. It just wouldn't fit the kind of devastation you'd see from like a bear or something like that. So their next decision and game plan is they're going to install some trail cameras throughout the area and a long hunchback trail, and they make a big public announcement that there's a dangerous animal in the area and to keep clear of the trails. And not even a couple days following that, on September 14th, one of the trail cams picks up a very large cougar. And not even 6 hours after the image is captured, officials have the cat treed, which we'll talk more on that later. And then they shoot, kill, bag, and tag what they think is the cat that killed Diana. And they send the cat's body off to a Southern Oregon lab to be analyzed. And Allison, Diana's sister, makes a public statement that Diana would just be really heartbroken to know that the cougar died. But she also understood the position of the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife and then the protocols they put forward. She also made this statement to media. She said, she had a sharp object she used. She had mace. She had a stick. The evidence is clear. She fought hard. And it does appear that she did. Sadly, due to the time between Diana's death and the death of the cougar they suspected killed her, they were unable to definitively determine that they killed the right cat. They did look at the size of the wounds in comparison to the animal's teeth and claws, but they believe they got the right one. But who knows? Maybe it's still out there. Oh my gosh. Now, of all times, cat, is when you choose, get in the cupboard. I don't know if you can hear that. My cat opens cupboards. Like, he knows how to open a cupboard, and he wants to get in there, but he doesn't, just swing it open in one foul swoop. He'll paw at it a bunch, and it goes like, doof, doof, doof. And let me tell you, when I'm all working from home, talking to a family on the phone, and that's happening in the background, it drives me insane. Open the fucking cupboard, dude. Anyway. I lost my place. Oh, right. So yeah, they did all those testing. They couldn't even determine that that's the cat that did it. So Diana would probably hope that the cat that did it is still out there, but who knows? Despite all of the analyzing they did into this case, they were unable to provide a shred of evidence on why the cougar attacked Diana. The lion was far from emaciated. She was healthy. She had not had a litter of kittens for several years, and she also tested negative for rabies and other diseases that could potentially impact her neurological state. Also, something important, she didn't eat her, which is so weird because in predatory attacks, which it seems like this would have been, they eat their victim. I mean, territorial attacks also happen, but the nature in which it happened, the fact that Diana fought as hard as she did and didn't, the cat didn't lose interest and kept going at her, it doesn't really add up based on what I've looked into as cougars. But obviously it had to have been a cougar, but I just wonder if they got the wrong one. I don't know. Diana has a plethora of obituaries with a lot of her loved ones leaving special stories and memories, so it was a joy getting that glimpse into her life. She also has an Instagram page that is still up, and it has a bunch of her nature photos and art, and it is really breathtaking. I went and scoured through her page and read all the comments, and I always go above and beyond for the detail in my episodes, but if you want to check it out, her Instagram page is at Diane Astrologer, DianaStrologer. She has some amazing photos of them. And I actually, in one obituary comment, I read that she actually had some photos published professionally, which doesn't surprise me. She had a talent for photography. And that is the story of 55-year-old Diana Bober, her amazing life, and how she became Oregon's first cougar fatality in 2018. Now again, I feel like at the end of all of these animal episodes, everyone is raging at the animal, but here's the thing. They are predators and we are prey. And I know there's a guy clutching his Coors Light with the Confederate flag hanging behind him that wants to disagree with me, but it is a fact. We are weak and we're squishy and we're pretty defenseless without weaponry, and we're easy to kill. So it's not about, like launching this manhunt into killing an animal that killed a human. It's just acknowledging that animals don't follow the same moral compass that humans do. And it's not violently murdering a person in their eyes. It's trying to make it another day and trying to survive another day by capitalizing on what it viewed as either a threat or maybe an easy meal. So just make sure we don't lose our love for cougars. And I wanted to enhance some of the love we have for them by learning a little bit about their biology. And let's just renew our love of one of the only big cats left in North America. So let's dive into about mountain lions. Also known as the cougar, the puma, the panther, the catamount, and I could go on. They're all the same animal under the same species name, puma concolor. Their territories span a huge canvas of land all the way from the Canadian Yukon to the southern Andes in South America. And Wikipedia said that it is the most widely distributed large wild terrestrial mammal in the Western Hemisphere. And if you can say that 5 times fast, you get a cookie. They mostly like to hang out in dense regions of brush, but they're very adaptable and they can thrive in most habitats, from the mangroves and swamps of Florida, here where I live, to the Rocky Mountain terrain in the western United States. Cougars typically live and hunt alone. Much like domestic cats, they are both crepuscular and nocturnal. So crepuscular means they're most active at dusk and dawn. Nocturnal means they're most active at night. And I don't know how many of you can relate to your domestic cat launching himself off of your titties at 2 a.m. because they have the middle of the night zoomies, but cougars can relate for sure. Cougars hunt mostly by ambushing their prey. So much like how Diana was likely attacked, they'll kind of stalk you really quiet. They'll be, they won't make a sound. They'll be unseen until they have the chance to attack. Their main prey sources are smaller mammals, from rodents to ungulates like deer, but every so often they do see humans as being on the menu. And generations of the strongest cats thriving and reproducing led them to become nature's most perfect predator. And they were absolutely built to hunt, and we will talk about why in a second. There are less than 50,000 mountain lions globally, meaning in the world. 20 to 30,000 of them alone exist in the United States, and out of that number, about 6,600 of them live in Oregon. So that is a super dense, concentrated population of cougars. So let's put a pin in that. There are 4.24 million residents or humans living in Oregon. More than 60% of them utilize nature trails within their state. So with so many people living there and so many of them entering cougar habitat, why are there not more attacks on humans? Well, the answer is pretty simple. We're not a typical prey source, and cougars are very fragile and they are aware of it. And they know if they even break so much as a toe on one of their paws during a hunt, it will impact their ability to hunt going forward tenfold. So they don't like a struggle, and humans usually struggle. And factually, most interactions between cougars and people, I don't want to say interactions, I'll say, oh gosh, I don't even know the appropriate terminology for this. Most times where a cougar makes contact with a person, let's say that, ends in minor injury because people usually fight back and the cats are dissuaded relatively easily and they kick rocks. They take off. They're like, oh, I'm not down for this much of a fight. Like, this isn't worth all this. Obviously, that didn't work with Diana, but that is part of what makes this such an interesting case, that it is so far outside of typical behavior. Diana was experienced and she did put up a hell of a fight. And maybe if the cat were hunting Diana to eat, maybe she could have run it off. But I don't know if it was a territorial attack, or maybe if, like I said, if they killed the wrong cougar, maybe the attacking cougar was a mother defending her kittens. Like, just the possibilities are endless. And I don't want to introduce any skepticism into, the sheriff's office's assertion that they got the right one, but there's just so much unknown about this that doesn't make sense. And some unique facts to make you love cougars even more. They can leap over 20 feet with very little effort, and they can leap like something like 40 horizontal feet, which is ridiculous, like just crazy. They have built for jumping. They have the largest territories of any American terrestrial animal. They also hold the Guinness World Record for the most names. Cougars mate in the summer, usually around June or July, and then they'll spend the next couple months making and building dens, and then they give birth to their litter in about 12 weeks after mating. Her litters can vary between a single kitten and up to 5 or 6 or even potentially more. Kittens are born blind and extra adorable with spotted coats. They look like little cheetahs. They're so freaking cute. Go Google them in a second. But they shed those coats with age, and they'll develop the same color patterns as all cougars do at sexual maturity, which happens around like 1.5 to 2 years old, sometimes a little older. Cougars only produce litters once every couple of years, which is why preservation efforts are so difficult, particularly in Florida. Sidebar, it is a dream to see a cougar in person down here, so maybe one day. Not in the way Diana saw one, but like, when they like run past you and don't bother you, like one of those. Mother cougars are extremely protective of their young, and there are reports of them fighting off packs of wolves and even bears in efforts to protect them. The sad part of her reproductive stuff is that she divvies up the food based on who is the strongest and the fittest. So if you're born the runt, there's a decent chance you're going to either starve to death or just be so malnourished because, your siblings are eating more than you that you'll just be picked off by a predator. So the mortality rate for kittens is pretty abysmal. When they're about 1.5 years old, when they're about half of a year old, so like 6 months, the kittens will assist their mother in hunting, which lessens her burden a little bit for finding food. But it's also, like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So it's kind of probably annoying. A typical lifespan for a wild cougar that makes it to maturity is about 8 to 13 years, which pales in comparison because captive cougars can live to be 20 or more. Not that I'm really arguing for captive cougars. However, captive programs really are effective at eliminating the mortality rates for kittens because they can just, provide them that sustenance that they're otherwise not going to get by the moms who are cherry picking which one of her babies she wants to fucking make it to adulthood. Imagine if humans were that way. Sorry, Charlie, you're just 10 pounds less than Cooper, so no breakfast for you today. I can't with that. Ugh. Oh, yeah. So those captive breeding programs, they're also working on reintroducing them into areas that they've kind of been like run off of or like killed off in. So all this being said, the odds of being eaten by a cougar are about 1 in a billion. And that's like a legitimate statistic. So don't let cougars stop you from going outside and enjoying nature. Just maybe bring like a friend or like bear spray, because I've heard bear spray is pretty effective on cougars. And we're going to talk about in a second what to do if you run into a cougar. Oh, we're going to talk about that right now, actually. Hold on. Let me find it. I screenshot it from a reliable source. Let me just... Hello, cougar? Oh, there we go. Gosh, I don't know what it is. It was like, I feel like there's something in my throat, but there's not. Like, I don't know. It's like I need to clear my throat. Maybe you can hear it. Hopefully not. All right, what to do if you encounter a cougar. And this comes straight from kgw.com, which is a news broadcast. They pulled this information itself from, I think, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. So cougars often will retreat if given the opportunity. Leave the animal away to escape. So don't like back it into a corner. Stay calm, stand your ground, do not run. We'll talk about why in a second. Make sure you maintain direct eye contact. If you have children or pets, pick them up, but don't bend down or turn your back to do so. So if you can just kind of like He-Man them by the collar of their coat or by their leash, pick them up without turning around or without bending down. Slowly back away. Do not run. Do not run. This applies for a lot of predatory animals. So running triggers a chase. And it's a chase response in cougars as well as like bears and some other animals that can almost definitively lead to an attack. Because what happens, and I'll walk you through a little bit, and this isn't information that I learned from a site. This is information that I learned from one of my favorite podcasts, which is called Tooth and Claw. They talk a lot about animal attacks, and I get to learn a lot about animal biology through them as well, which is really great. Cougars and other predatory animals, if they're looking at you in a predatory or a territorial manner, they're going to be sizing you up, mostly in predatory manners. They're going to be making these mental gymnastics about whether or not you're worth the risk to attempt to attack for food. And I don't know if this necessarily applies to territorial cats, but for predatory cats, it does. So just hear me out. They're making all these decisions in their head. They have, that meme of the girl with the equations flying around her head? It's like that. And they're like, let's see. Like, they look easy enough to take down. They have that big backpack on. I don't know what that means, if that could hurt me. Let's see. They're doing all of these mental gymnastics, deciding if you are something that they want to take a risk on. Because you don't really look like prey to them. You're not a prey species to a mountain lion, typically. So they're thinking about it. When you run, the thinking stops. And they're like, oh, nope, that was prey. And then they chase you. So let them have that time to work through that equation, be aggressive and be loud, make sure that the decision they're coming to is one that you're not a prey item or a prey species, but that's, essentially how their brain works. So running from most predatory animals will result in a chase, and you will more than likely be attacked because you are acting like a prey item by running, and you essentially are a prey item at that point, but they don't know that yet. So just don't run. Raise your voice, speak firmly. If the cougar seems aggressive, raise your arms, make yourself look larger, clap your hands, just act as aggressive as possible. If you get to the point where a cougar already has you in its mouth, you've kind of already lost the game. So just fight with everything that you have, because there's not really much that's going to save you once their teeth are on you, like poor Diana, which is really sad. Something else that I also learned on that podcast, which I couldn't find, not to say that it's not real, it probably is factual, but I just couldn't find any evidence of it. But there's supposedly cougars have a preference of how they want to kill their prey, and it's exactly what they did to Diana. They are going to bite you in the back of the neck and keep adjusting their bite to get their tooth in the right spot to create a wedge between your vertebrae that effectively paralyzes you or breaks your neck, which is what it did to Diana. So all it has to do is just line up that tooth with that perfect pocket in between our vertebrae and just squeeze once, and we're as good as done. So that seems to be a way that cougars prefer to kill their prey, which definitely adds up with how Diana died, with the broken neck and with multiple punctures, like over 12 on her neck alone, that cat bit down and let up and bit down a few times, probably because she was fighting and struggling, and it was having a hard time finding that right spot. So there's some tips for avoiding cougar attacks. Don't let them scare you, though. Don't kill them. Don't tree them. Treeing is fucked up. Treeing is like people that go out with dogs, and the dogs will catch the scent of a lion and they'll chase it, like a pack of them. And out of fear of being like shredded alive by these dogs, the cougars will climb trees trying to get away from the dogs. And the hunters just walk up and shoot them when they're in the tree because they're an easy target at that point. That's such a chicken shit way of hunting. Like, if you want to impress someone by hunting a mountain lion, go out there with no weaponry, use your hands and your mouth, and you go out there and kill a mountain lion. It can be done. A guy in, California maybe? Pretty recently, a cougar attacked him, and he put it in like a chokehold, and he killed it with his bare hands. That warrants respect. You using a gang of dogs to chase a cat into a tree and then shooting it with a weapon, little dick behavior. I'm just going to say it. Not respectful. You're not doing anything cool. You're not doing anything except for getting a bunch of dogs riled up for no reason, making them all hyper aggressive, scaring the shit out of a wild animal, and then killing it and then bragging about it like you did something. You didn't do anything, bro. You just walked with some dogs. Like, I can't stand people who tree. I really don't like hunters in general, but especially if you use dogs to kill your animals or any kind of sophisticated weaponry that you're just at an advantage over the wild animal. It's just little dick energy. All right, moving on from my soapbox, we're going to talk about our too cool for school fact, and I had a really neat one for this one. So Diana, she did pursue acting roles throughout her life, and she actually did star and co-star in a few movies, and you may or may not have heard of them. So she played in 1985, she played Girl Victim Number 2, which was a smaller role in the movie Nail Gun Massacre. In 1986, she played an assisting role of wife's cousin in Trespasses, and in 2000, she finally landed a starring role as Vicky in Two on You. So she made it to the big screen after all. Super, super cool. Really awesome for her. Really glad that she was successful in everything that she did. And even the way she went out, I don't think I think she would find it humorous that she went out the way that she did just because she was such an avid outdoors person. Maybe not humor. Maybe that's not the right word. Serendipitous, maybe. Anyway. Question of the week for this week. If you were awarded a Guinness World Record, what would it be for? And alternatively, if you want, you could rather answer if you were to beat someone else's Guinness World Record, what would it be? Kind of the same question, but give us an answer. Check out Instagram and TikTok later. We'll have that posted for you to respond to, and it'll be pinned on our Instagram for the next 2 weeks until episode 8 comes out, and then we'll replace it with the next one. So please go answer our question of the week. I would love to have a few things to discuss next time. I'm hoping Rachel can be there for the next one, so it'll be really fun. Get them in there. Our joke of the day. I'm always hesitant on doing jokes of the days because these are all so gnarly, but I get you all cheered up at the beginning, and then I get you all bummed out with the story. I got to cheer you back up. So this one is about cougars, which, I like to stay with a theme. A priest was hiking in the woods when suddenly a mountain lion appeared. Ready to devour the man whole, the priest quickly fell to his knees, looked up at the heavens, and prays, "Dear God, please teach this lion mercy and give him religion." A chorus of angels is heard, and a beam of light shines down from the heavens onto the mountain lion. The lion then drops to his knees, stares up into the heavens, and prays, Dear God, bless you for this food I'm about to receive." Might be in bad taste considering, but I thought it was quirky. So there's our joke of the day. I want to go through our sources really quickly. All the information that I compiled in this episode was taken from a variety of very prestigious sources, including the victim's own Instagram page. So some of our sources are Clackamas County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, DignityMemorial.com, OregonLive.com, Wikipedia.com, of course, IMDb.com, StatesmanJournal.com, Instagram.com, National Geographic Magazine, and the National Wildlife Federation, as well as mountainlion.org. If you would like to support a cause that I think Diana would be all about, Mountain Lion Foundation at mountainlion.org is the one. They help support conservation efforts and help protect their habitat and promote cougar-positive legislation, so go check them out. Make a donation in Diana's name. I think that would be the best way to remember her, unless there's a GoFundMe out there for her family, but I haven't found that yet. So if that's the case, send it to me in a DM, and I will redact that. But yeah. We have our hint for the next episode. Episode 8 is coming out on May 30th at 5. Your hint is an animal, a basketball game, and a lack of vocal clarity. Normally not life-threatening. Normally. So that's your hint. An animal, a basketball game, a lack of vocal clarity. So, it shouldn't be too hard, but get excited for episode 8 because it is also a very unique one. Please drop us comments, messages, likes, whatever. Let us know that you like the show. Ratings are amazing. We haven't gotten many ratings yet, but if you listen to us, drop us a rating, a review. I would love to hear from you guys. Make it a pleasant one, please. I really pour a lot of effort into this. Lastly, before I get to for our last little moment, I did want to talk about something really weird that just happened to me this morning, like an hour before I started recording this. So I mentioned that Diana was very into tarots, and she did tarot readings for much of her life, and that was something she was passionate about for a good proportion of her life. I have not alluded to that anywhere. I have not put the hashtag tarot in any of my Instagram posts. I have not reached out about Diana being into tarot. I really haven't said anything to hint at all that she was into that. However, this morning I received at 2:47 a.m., I received a message from a person on Instagram called The Moon Tarot. And she reached out and said, Hello, may peace and blessings be upon you and all of yours. I felt a strong connection and energy to you from the realm of the universe. Have you considered a reading? Now, that's only weird because I'm 34 years old and I've never once been accosted for a tarot reading via message or anything else. I've been walking through fairgrounds and I haven't had somebody ask me to read my tarot reading. It's weird, but I'm like, I've not really considered that, but I just dove into a lot of research with a woman who passed who was very good at tarot, and I wonder if she knows that I'm doing a story on her. And I don't know, maybe tarot people can move energy back and forth. Maybe just thinking out on the realm. I do I am a skeptic, but maybe our girl Diana knows that we're talking about her, and she had to let one of her tarot friends, hit me up or something. It's just weird. The similarity was weird. Because I just typed all this up yesterday. I'm procrastinating. But I just typed up my theme and all my notes yesterday. And to wake up this morning, actually an hour after I went to bed last night, I went to bed at 1 something in the morning. She messaged me at 2 something in the morning. An hour after I'd finished typing on my whole story on her with my plans to record today, and I got that message. So, a little weird. I wouldn't say creepy. Diana girl, if you're out there somewhere in the spiritual world and you can hear me, you seem like an amazing badass woman, and the world is a little quieter having lost you. And I appreciate your passion for the outdoors. I appreciate how similar you and I are in terms of we love nature and animals. We don't want our own children. We love to be aunties. And she did not let anything stop her. She traveled and she went for every one of her dreams and passions without hesitation, which is something a lot of us could learn a very valuable lesson from. All right, that's the story of Diana Bober. I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks to do episode 8, which is also going to be a gnarly one, just like all of them. But I'm glad that we could spend this hour today to talk about a woman who very much deserves her hour of time here. If you would like to look more up about her, like I said, her Instagram page is still up. You can still see everything that she posted up until the day she died. I highly advise checking out her photography, her art, her movies. Just give our girl a little love this week, and let's talk about her and keep her relevant because she deserves it. Hey guys. Well, you know what I'm about to say. That's the end of episode 7. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And until then, you ready? Are you ready? Are you going to say it with me? Say it with me, guys. Stay alive, everyone.